Today, we're going to break down a specific and often really hidden anxiety that affects so many people. Let's dive into the anatomy of atelophobia.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt that feeling, that knot in your stomach, that sense of being totally paralyzed by the simple thought of not being perfect? It's a feeling a lot of us can relate to. But for some, it's not just a passing worry. It's this constant, overwhelming presence in their lives.
Well, that intense feeling actually has a name. And, just putting a name to a fear can be the very first step toward understanding it.
It's called atelophobia, and it's an intense and irrational fear of imperfection. Now, those key words here are super important. Intense and irrational. This isn't just about having high standards or wanting to do a good job. No, this is a fear that goes way beyond logic, and it can feel absolutely debilitating. When you boil it down, atelophobia is really this overwhelming anxiety. It's a deep-seated fear of making even the smallest mistake, and it's all fueled by this pressure to meet impossibly high standards. And the wild part? Those standards are almost always self-imposed. It just creates this relentless, super stressful cycle.
But a fear this powerful? Where does it even come from? It doesn't just pop up out of nowhere, right? So let's dig into the roots to get a better idea of its origins.
Usually it's a mix of things that kind of come together to create a perfect storm. So imagine a kid who's always being criticized for not getting perfect grades. That kind of pressure can plant a seed. And then, in adulthood, that seed can blossom into this crippling fear of failure at work. You combine that with a natural tendency toward perfectionism and, well, you've got the ideal conditions for atelophobia to take root.
Okay, so we're starting to get the what and the why. But how does this actually show up in someone's day-to-day life? Let's take a look at the signs and symptoms.
Mentally, it is just a relentless battle. The fear of making the tiniest little error just fuels this constant inner critic. And this leads to a really key behavior: avoidance. Think about it. If you're terrified of failing at a task, the safest path feels like not even starting it, right? But the great irony there is that this just leads to missed opportunities and feeling totally stuck.
And all that mental strain, it definitely doesn't just stay in your head. It shows up physically. We're talking chronic stress, muscle tension, even full-blown panic attacks. It's such a powerful reminder that our bodies really do react to our thoughts, and this fear of imperfection takes a serious physical toll.
So, when your mind and your body are in this constant state of high alert, you can bet there's a ripple effect that touches every single part of your life. And this impact is it's huge. At work, it can completely stifle your creativity and your career growth. In school, it can turn learning into a total minefield of anxiety. It puts a massive strain on relationships, it eats away at your self-esteem, and it makes even simple decisions feel agonizing. And the end result of all this constant pressure is, so often, just total burnout.
But okay, even though all of that sounds incredibly overwhelming, it is so crucial to know that this is manageable. There really is a clear path forward.
There are proven strategies that can help manage atelophobia. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is especially effective. It helps you catch one of those perfectionistic thoughts, like if I make one mistake, I'm a total failure, and then it helps you challenge it by asking, is that really true? When you combine that with relaxation techniques to calm your nervous system, it becomes a really powerful approach. And of course, in some cases, medication can be a useful tool for managing that underlying anxiety.
The key thing to take away from all this is that with the right support, it is absolutely possible to manage perfectionism. You can reduce that crushing anxiety, and you can reclaim your life from this fear. There is always hope.
So that leaves us with one final thought. We live in a world that constantly demands perfection from us. But maybe it's time to reframe that goal. What if we decided to embrace the idea that good enough is the new perfect?